Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And we are back for another episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 14. It's episode 8. And it's called The Perfect Storm. So, let me address the other elephant in the room. So, there's a couple things. Number one, because I am reviewing pretty much all the Housewife shows this week. I may or may not be coming on camera at all this week just because kind of a crazy week, and I also got some other stuff going on in my personal. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. Also, too, I did watch The Real Housewives of New York City's season finale. That is up now, so definitely check that out. Yeah, it was worth watching. And I'm not even kidding. It actually was worth watching. Andy Cohen sometimes in the past, he'd be gassing things, saying it's the best thing ever, but it wasn't really the best thing ever. It was just very shocking, and not necessarily good shocking, but definitely was shocking. Emotionally provoking, and also makes me actually interested in wanting to watch a reunion now. So I definitely will be covering the reunion if you want to check that out. So just letting you know on that. But anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here for Beverly Hills. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So we start off with our Housewives montage of all the ladies getting ready for Bose's event. And Bose is pretty much kind of putting together a spa day to hash things out. So first thing, we see Sutton getting ready. Then we see Garcelle getting ready. And then we see Dorit getting ready. And then the first official scene is with Bozoma, and the event is called Serenity Soiree. And basically she says, hey, as a former boss, in the corporate world, there's people who always have a great idea, but they're just not able to quite put it together. AKA, in this case, Sutton, when it comes to the sisterhood of it all. And Bozoma is going to do her part to try to make things happen and try, hopefully heal the wounds that are going on with this group. So then, right after we see all, the people in the house getting set up for this event in her yard, we do see that Bozoma, I'm not sure if she FaceTimed Dorit or Dorit FaceTimed her, but they start talking about the event. And then Bose go ahead and lets her know, hey, Garcelle came over to my house, and she did explain that there was something more going on with the text than I originally realized. Garcelle told me, and Dorit's oh, okay. And Dorit's expressed that's strange because Erica talked to me and didn't even say anything to me. That is really, really weird and kind of messed up. But yeah, Bose is hey, I'm going to leave it to, Kyle to tell it. But I'm under the impression based off of what Garcelle told me, there is more to that text than what she's saying. It's definitely not just about some memes. And side note, I can't believe this whole entire episode was literally about a text message. And actually, it's been 2 episodes of it because technically it started last episode and now we're continuing it with this episode. If you really think about it, it's kind of wild, but at the same time, because it's Kyle, it makes sense it will be 2 episodes about a text message. But anyway, so then from there, we start seeing people getting ready to come to the party. No, but before that happens, I'm sorry, my apologies. Before that, we actually see Kyle with Kathy. And side note, I'm going to keep it all the way real. Up until watching The Real Housewives of New York, Kyle got on my last nerves this episode. So she does have a couple solo scenes. So this is one of them. I almost brushed over it because I was just so irritated with her after watching this episode. The next solo scene she has later on in this episode, I'm probably going to skip through it. I'm not going to spend that much time on it because I'm over Kyle. I'm over Kyle and her antics. But anyway. So Kyle calls Kathy because we haven't seen Kathy in a while. So, hey, girl. And Kathy is in Italy. She actually is FaceTiming Rick Hilton's phone because Kathy lost her phone or something like that. And she's complaining to Kyle. She's complaining to Kathy about how Dorit and her still are not good, are back to not being good again, and still playing victim, basically. And so that's kind of all that happens here. And then from there, we do see that the party is coming together nicely as far as like it getting set up. And one thing that I saw in this episode that I never thought I would see on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills of it all is Bozema. When it came to the staff, when it came to this event, almost pretty much all of them were all black. I was like, oh my God. I was happy to see it, and I love to see it. I love to see it. But anyway, so then from there, we start seeing the ladies gathering at her house one by one. So then the first person to show up is Erica, and she was knocking on that door like she was the cops. And Rosema called it out, and Erica called it right back. I was like, yeah, it's me, girl. Hey, girl, hey. And was like, hey, girl, hey. And then from there, then Kyle shows up next. Kyle's dressed like she's going, like, I don't know. She's not dressed comfortable. Everyone else is kind of dressed comfortable, but she's dressed like she's about to go somewhere nice. Like real nice, actually. It was actually a cute dress. It's not me being insulting. It was just she just wasn't really dressed the way everyone else was. But that doesn't really matter in this case. And then next we then see that Garcelle, Jennifer Tilly, and Sutton, they're in the car on the way there, and they're talking about the text of it all too. And they're basically just like, yeah, it's looking very sus. Like Kyle's got some explaining to do, which we all feel that way. And then from there, then we see that Dorit arrived next, which that timing was interesting because it was awkward. And Dorit's trying to just be nice and say hi to everyone. Kyle's trying to pay her dust because she pretty much told Kathy when she was talking to Kathy she's going to pay Dorit dust. And then Dorit immediately kind of tries to shade her. She's like, huh, you know, the invitation said to dress comfortable. Is what you're wearing, is that comfortable? And Kyle just gives her this dirty look. And, you know, Dorit in her confessional shades her again. And then Kyle shades her too. It's just kind of like, girl, I'm not going to hold you. I'm not really a huge Dorit fan, but I cannot stand Kyle. Kyle is just such a hater. She is a hater. I feel like, I'm not even going to get into it, but she's just a hater. Honestly, after this episode, it makes me think she really never saw it for Dorit ever. She was just using Dorit similar to how she was using Lisa Vanderpump until she didn't need her anymore. Like, I feel like that's what it is. And now she's trying to, honestly, Kyle's trying to do the same thing that she did to Lisa Vanderpump to Dorit. The only problem is Dorit is the one who also helped Kyle do that to Lisa Vanderpump. So, like, and honestly, if it wasn't for Dorit, it wouldn't have worked. Like, Dorit was actually the one that got it done. So, this is not going to work, Kyle. I hope you realize it's not going to work because us as viewers, we're irritated watching this. But anyway. So then, next we see that Garcelle, Jennifer Tilly, and Sutton, they do arrive. And so all the ladies are there. And then this is when Bozema's like, okay, let's go ahead and get in our robes and get ready. And they all have their own custom robes. So that's why I mentioned the clothing and what they're wearing did not matter because it's a spa day and they're going to end up being in the robes. So anyway, so then, and what I mean by spa day, like they have masseuse there. I mean, it's a whole entire thing. So, and then she also has a personal chef there, Chef Daryl, and Daryl was fine. And so fine that all the single women, minus Sutton, were like all hitting on him, basically. Especially Garcelle. Garcelle was flirting on him heavy. And then I think it was Erica or someone noticed that Garcelle was overly comfortable with that massage group. So it seems like the business that Bozema recruited was called Manly Hands. And all the men, again, must be black owned. And I'm not sure. I should probably fact check of whether this is a black owned masseuse place, but all the men that were there were that. And Garcelle was living her best life. She was just like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so wonderful. She was just like in cloud nine. And then out of nowhere, as she's in her cloud nine, thinking she's really going to get a massage and it's going to be a calming day, it kind of went record scratch. By record scratch, I mean, Dorit came to Garcelle and started talking to her. And at first, Garcelle is guarded because she's like, oh no. Because, again, they've never been able to get things right. And maybe we didn't see this, but maybe Bozma actually kind of talked to Dorit about this. Like, look, I don't think, and honestly, now looking at the previous episodes, it actually makes more sense now. I don't think Garcelle really can't stand Dorit. I think they just never been able to get things right. And honestly, after what happened, what was about to happen, that I'm going to explain, it all kind of now makes sense. So let me go ahead and explain what happened. So Dorit immediately is like, look, about the other night when you're asking me how I'm doing and the way I lashed out at you about that, she basically is like, I'm sorry. It wasn't really about you per se. I was just frustrated. And Garcelle's like, yeah, I understand. It wasn't about that. She's like, yeah, it's not. I'm just going and then Dorit's like, I'm just really going through a lot right now. And honestly, I'm lost. I just feel lost. And Garcelle was like, wow, okay. She's like, I understand. Going through a divorce can be difficult. And she kind of was just like, if you need anything, let me know. Kind of, let her know, hey, I'm here. And Garcelle's like, and Dorit also did state, let me be real with you. I know our relationship has been less than stellar. Anything that I've ever done to hurt you, whether it's been intentional or not, I am truly sorry. And I am going to try. And I hear you and I see you. And I know you said you haven't felt heard. And I want to try and make things right. And Garcelle, was like, I did not expect this. And if this is a new Dorit, I'm with it. That's what she says in the confessional. And so right now, I think they're actually good now. And honestly, I think this is all Garcelle ever wanted was a genuine apology from Dorit. And Dorit finally gave it to her. And unprovoked. Dorit just came to her woman to woman, olive branching it up and gave it to her. But I think also Dorit appreciated the fact that Garcelle kept it real with Bozma and told her what was going on. Because I think Dorit knew what was going to happen. Like, I think she knew that Garcelle knew that if she tells Bozma's going to tell Dorit, and Dorit's going to know what the tea is. And so I think, honestly, she liked and appreciated the fact that Garcelle, even though on paper she seems like she doesn't care about Dorit, I think at that moment when Garcelle basically spilled the beans, I think she now knows that Garcelle does care for Dorit. Outside the BS and them not getting along and the microaggressions of it all. But I did appreciate that Dorit finally apologized for this and it was actually genuine. And so I hopefully it came off it was genuine. I'll just say that. It came off like it was, and hopefully she really means it. And maybe after talking, and you know what? Now I think about it, let's just keep it real. Maybe the conversation that Garcelle and Bozma had at their house, maybe we didn't see that this conversation happened, but maybe Garcelle actually told Bozma everything and they just didn't film it. I'm under the impression that's maybe what happened. And maybe since Bozma is now genuinely becoming friends with Dorit, maybe Bozma was able to talk to Dorit about it. And it saddens me that we didn't see the conversation, but maybe that is what happened. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just throwing a lot of ideas out there just because I did not know I wanted to see this, but I was glad to see this. And honestly, this is probably the highlight of the episode for me, that Dorit finally apologized. Because maybe I needed that apology too. And now Garcelle can let the freaking mouse go because she's been holding on to that mouse, and I understood why, but it just had Garcelle looking crazy because she was holding on to that mouse basically the past 7 episodes. But anyway, moving on. So while this is happening, we have Bozma. She goes and talks to Kyle, and she wastes no time. She's like, so you mentioned while you were at my house, you're not going to be showing no text to anyone, but then immediately you go off and show the text to other people. Why is it you showed it to that person but not me? What is that about? And Kyle made up an excuse and saying like, I think it's really messed up that you want me to show this. And it's like, but you showed it to other people. So what is that? And then Sun chimes in. She's like, because Kyle does finally state what she said, but she didn't have the phone in front of her, so she was trying to summarize it. And then Sun's like, that's not what it all said. But side note is, I feel like that is kind of what it all said. But like, Sun was ear hustling from afar and was like, oh, okay, I didn't know if you said everything or not. But like, Sun was being fancy Drew over there a little bit. And the thing is, Sun, when she does that, I think at this point now she knows what she's doing, but maybe she doesn't. This irritated Kyle. Like, this whole thing irritated Kyle. Like, immediately when Kyle got questioned, this set her off because, she don't like to be questioned. She thinks she's a queen bee of this group, and now she's about to F around and find out that she really isn't. But anyway. So as this is happening, Erica's trying to be the voice of reason. I'm using air quotes because she's really basically being freaking. I didn't know Erica was an attorney, but maybe she is. She learned something from Eric Girardi, but she's basically being Kyle's attorney when it comes to all this. It's just giving her all the bail, because she's asking like, it's kind of hurtful that you want, that the girls want to see her text messages. And it's like, but she's the one who put it out there. And Erica's comparing her situation that happened with, Tom to what is going on with Kyle's like, but Kyle is putting it out there and then retracting it, putting it out there and then retracting it. Your situation is you didn't put any of it out there. So it's not even the same situation. It's literally apples and asparagus. It's not even the same freaking thing. Like, it's its own thing. Like, they both grow. That's about the only difference. They're both plants. But anyway, so as Kyle's trying to explain and like basically pop around what really was said, because now at this point all the women are involved, and even Dorit's now at the point's like, so what was said then? Just say it. And so she reads it, and literally this whole entire time Kyle is just having a whole entire breakdown over this, as if like, basically saying, why are you this stupid? Because she cries like that. Sorry. I know, I'm not right. But Kyle is so insufferable. And when she does that crying thing, I just can't take her seriously. But anyway, so she's just saying, like, it was just this, it was just that. Because once she read the whole entire text message, all the women are looking at her like, girl, that's number one, that's not just memes and gifs. And, side note, on the way to the party, when Sutton and Garcelle were trying to explain to Jennifer Tilly what was going on, Jennifer Tilly kept calling him GIFs or something like that, and the driver was cracking up. And then I think it was Sutton that made an excuse like, don't worry, like, Jennifer, she's Canadian, that's what it is. I don't know why that made me laugh the way it did, but it did. And it's just great to see Jennifer Tilly, because even before this was happening, when she was getting massage, she was talking to like the men from Manly Hands. She's like, we're about to be peaceful for 30 minutes and then it's going to go to hell. I just hope you know that. And child, she was not wrong. It literally popped off exactly how she said it was. And even the guy from Manly Hands like, dang, she wasn't lying. And so just those little things, I ain't gonna hold you, was cracking me up. And Jennifer Tilly, oh my gosh, a treasure. But anyway, so then as she's saying all this and trying to explain herself, Garcelle is saying what we're all thinking is like, girl, it's giving guilty. You're doing all this like ranting and raving. It's giving guilty, and everything that you saying that we feel and you're accusing us of, that's what it is. And then Kyle storms out, and then Bozema also literally says the exact same thing that Garcelle says, like, girl, it's giving guilt. And then as everyone's going after her to try to get her to stay, Sutton is staying there. She's like, I'm not running after her. And Bozema had to like really convince her to go after her. She was so irritated. And we find out later on why, but she's like, okay, fine. And then the whole entire time, Garcelle and Bozema are us. Like, they're just making the comments like, oh my gosh, this is all guilt. And the whole entire time, as she's about to leave, Kyle's like, you should all be ashamed of yourselves for basically holding her accountable. They should all be ashamed of themselves. And she's still being a victim. She's still playing the victim. And basically, she's continuing to show everyone that she is not the girl's girl that she tried to claim that she is. And so as she goes away some more, and then Dorit tries to talk to her and get through to her one last time, but like is not yelling at her, just trying to be a friend and trying to understand where she's coming from. And Dorit literally uncovered what this really was. And I didn't see it this way until Dorit explained it. I was like, oh. So basically, this whole entire thing is not really about Kyle texting PK. And it's about what is Kyle saying about Dorit to PK. And since PK and Dorit are not in a good place, that's the problem. And so that is what Dorit is concerned about. And the reason why Dorit does not buy anything that Kyle is saying, Dorit explains it. So what Dorit ends up explaining to us is that basically when all of them were in a good place, like Kyle, Mo, PK, and Dorit, when PK and Dorit would be having their disagreements and PK would go and talk to Mo and then in turn talk to Kyle, Kyle would basically talk a whole bunch of ish about Dorit to PK and vice versa. And unbeknownst to Kyle, though, PK would run back what Kyle was saying, basically what was saying about Dorit. So Kyle, in her delusional mind, does not realize that Dorit knows that the whole entire time during their relationship of being friends, air quotes, Kyle, whenever she would get mad at Dorit, would say a whole bunch of nasty things about her. And so, yeah, Dorit is sitting on more information than Kyle even knows. And so Kyle is just still playing this facade of fakeness. And that's why Dorit is actually really mad at Kyle, because she's like, you're fake. You're not who you say you are and all this stuff. And basically Dorit has had enough of it, basically. And also, too, it would happen in reverse, too. Kyle would then tell Dorit what PK was saying about her. So basically, according to Dorit, these are two people that basically are disrespectful towards her the moment that she makes them mad. And so she's just kind of over them both, kind of to a certain degree. And my whole entire time I'm thinking, and then as all this is happening, Kyle, who claimed to be a girl's girl, in her confessional, is basically taking the side of PK. And we didn't need you to tell us that for us to know that's what you're doing, because the way you basically reached out to PK before you reached out to Dorit, we all knew that that's what you're doing. That was a given. And so that's kind of messed up, right? But what also got me is not that we just found out that PK really is a chatty Cappy. I'm like, man, If this storyline is real with Dorit and PK, Dorit, leave that man where he's at and find you a rich man who will take care of you. You're a beautiful woman. It won't be that hard. I am just saying. Anyway, and then as this ends, Kyle's still being a victim, and that's pretty much all that happens here. And then after Kyle leaves, Erica is still defending Kyle, and Bozeman's like, "What is that? Why are you defending Kyle?" And Dorit catches it too. She just doesn't say it at the moment, but it's just she's clearly, as much as Erica is trying to pretend that she's playing in the middle, she's not playing in the middle. She is on Kyle's side. That's pretty much what's happening here. So there's that. And so then the next scene, we have Kyle and her family, and it's Portia's birthday. Mo shows up, gives, and we find out Portia's going to go on a European trip with him, and she gives Portia a Porsche for her birthday. That's pretty much all that happened here. And honestly, to keep it real, I sped through this. I actually fast forward this to see what all happened here because I didn't really care because I'm just done with Kyle. So anyway, next. So next we have Garcelle. She's at the beach house and she's there and she's trying to fix a chandelier that she has, and with her dog. I think her dog name is Kobe. And then Sun arrives with her dog, Junebug. So they're having kind of a doggy date situation. And so they go to sit down, and Sun immediately expresses how she is over Kyle. She's like, I'm not going to do this with Kyle. And she was especially upset that Kyle storms off. She's calling out the obvious stuff that we as viewers have noticed from day one. Whenever Kyle's confronted or whenever the heat is on her, she walks away. She leaves. She won't engage. She basically doesn't give anyone anything. And that's what has been frustrating when it comes to Kyle this whole entire time she's been on this show. But yet she expects others, whenever they're confronted, to basically do the conflict resolution and all that. But Kyle doesn't do that. Sun basically says, I am sick of Kyle pretending she's above this and above acting the way she's supposed to be acting on this show. Basically, Sun is us as the viewers. She's over it. But Sun's actually probably especially even more upset because it's I'm expected to do my job. You need to do your job as well. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Erica is taking Kyle's side, considering the fact that Erica was also expected to do all the things that she did. And she did do those things when she was in the hot seat. But yet Kyle has never had to be in the hot seat and be accountable. I would think towards the end of this, everyone would just be against Kyle and try to get her off the show. And as of right now, it's not that, but I guess we'll find out. So anyway, basically, Sun's just annoyed with the hypocrisy. And then Garcelle was annoyed that Kyle tried to shame them for calling her out on her BS, which, again, not okay. So that's kind of what ends there. And then we have our final scene. So the final scene is a spa day with Erica and Dorit because we saw that the spa day that they tried to have earlier got ruined. So now they're having their own individual spa day. But Dorit is literally standing on business this whole entire season thus far, including with Erica. Because Dorit, it did not go unnoticed for Dorit that Erica was defending Kyle and did not have her back. And she's just like, what is that? She kind of called her out. And Erica's like, well, I'm trying to see both sides of it. And there's no proof and all this. She's basically she's talking like a lawyer. And Dorit even calls out, she's like, girl, you are not your ex-husband. You do not have to talk to me like a lawyer. I'm your friend, just like Kyle's your friend. I'm not expecting you to pick a side, but I'm expecting you to not have a bias, which honestly, Dorit was on point on, because it's not about Erica staying in the middle. Because up until this point, up until this episode, Erica did a great job of staying in the middle. And then now you see when the times get tough, she picked Kyle's side. Um, but like in Erica's defense, she does have a point. The text message does have room for interpretation. Like it's not cut and dry, but at the same time, optically, do we need it to be interpreted a certain way? Which is pretty much what Dorit was saying. And Erica's like, you know what? I think I need to take a pause from being friends with both of you. And honestly, this is probably the best move that Erica can make because I am kind of sick of Erica just being the middleman and not necessarily having her own storyline. So I kind of do want Erica to stop being the middleman. Um, and she's like, and then Dorit's like, why are you being this way? You don't have to be this way. She's like, well, I just don't want to feel like I have to pick a side. And Dorit's like, I don't expect you to pick a side. I just noticed though you do have a bias. You may not want to call it out, but you do have a bias. And then Erica's like, you know what? Honestly, it's not that I have a bias. I just don't want what we're accusing Kyle or what you're accusing Kyle of doing. I really just don't want it to be true. That's really all it is. I don't want it to be true. And Dorit was like, asked her a question. She's like, what if it is? What would happen if it turns out that what I'm saying is true? And Erica's like, I don't think I could be friends with her. And that's kind of where it ends. I don't know if I believe Erica all the way because to me, I think Erica and Kyle have an alliance still. I don't know if it's a friendship or if it's an alliance. But at this point, Erica, and also too, let's be real, Erica's solidifying her spot on this show because her being in the middle is the best way that she solidifies her position of being on the show without having to have a storyline. Because especially now the way the tables are turned, at the beginning of the season, so basically from episodes 1 through 7, really no one else was filming with Dorit other than Erica. And then same thing with Kyle. No one was real. Well, it was the opposite. Everyone was filming with Kyle. But now that the tables are turned, it's going to probably be the opposite now. But guess who still always gets to film with someone? Erica. So as much as she's saying friendship, let's be so for real of what this also really is. Erica's not dumb. She's making sure she has a spot on this show, and that is a huge part of what she's doing. I think if it boils down to one versus the other, I think Erica's going to make the decision based off of what keeps her on the show. I don't think it's about friendship with her all the way. Anyway, but that does conclude this episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It was actually a pretty good episode. I actually just appreciate the episode just because it was other people calling Kyle out on her BS and not just Dorit. And Bozoma is finally kind of getting in the mix a little bit more, which I like seeing. Actually, as long as we keep seeing more Bozoma, I'm for it. And I do like that finally we got some headway and a decent conversation between Garcelle and Dorit. Oh, I forgot to also mention. So Dorit tries to console not Dorit, but Sun tries to console Dorit again, and it landed flatly because Sun is just too awkward, and everyone was just like, "Are you going to acknowledge that Sun said something?" And she's like, "I did," and Sun's like, "Yeah, I did." It just was awkward, and it was interesting. I don't understand where this came from. I know Dorit and Sun never really saw for each other all the way. But I guess to me, I never thought it was as bad as Dorit and Garcelle. And somehow, Sudden is somehow more awkward than that. I don't know. I got nothing. But anyway, I forgot to mention that earlier on. That happened before, I guess. It happened a little bit after Kyle stormed out, or Yeah, it happened after Kyle stormed out and left, and then they were talking to Jaree. But anyway, but that does conclude the episode. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.